Good afternoon, everyone. I am Cindy Leibovich, one of the co-chairs of this year's Valentine Salon Luncheon. My co-chair, Phyllis Jager, and I would like to welcome you and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for what we know will be a most informative and inspirational lunch. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment and tell you a little bit about why I am here and why I love Camp Good Grief. 3 months shy of my 5th birthday, my mother had the unimaginable task of having to tell me and my 3-year-old brother that our daddy was not coming home. Right. My father had a massive and fatal heart attack at the age of 42. While we had the support of a very large and loving family, I still felt very much alone. My father was not coming home again. No more good morning hugs, no more goodnight kisses. My little brother seemed to take the news in stride, happy as ever in his youthful innocence. I, on the other hand, associated the word death with fear, abandonment, and shame. I refused to separate from my mother at that point, not allowing her to leave me at school in fear she would never return. My mother naturally worried about me when I refused to talk about my father again as if he never existed. For a 4-year-old, that was my way of coping. When my high school friend Ellen Lowy invited me a few years ago to this luncheon, the cause resonated so clearly with my own childhood. I wish I had a Camp Good Grief to attend to share the experience of loss with other children like myself. I was eager to learn more about this organization with its mission to give children who lost a loved one an opportunity to laugh, play, cry, dream with other kids who have been through the same thing. A visit last summer proved to me how amazing and effective camp is for kids to deal with a significant loss in their lives. Through art, therapy, and just plain old camp fun, these children brought their bravest selves to camp and thrived. Seeing it firsthand was a magical experience for me, and I'm incredibly honored to be co-chairing this year's event. But enough about me. I would like to introduce to you another wonderful committee member and MC of our program. Everyone, please welcome Stephanie Segret-Sack.
Fashion, I'm bringing my wine up here and a buttload of tissues. Good morning, friends, and welcome to the 16th annual Camp Good Grief Valentine's Luncheon. I honestly can't think of a better remedy for the midwinter doldrums than to think of summer, and more specifically, to think about Camp Good Grief, which will take place August 24th through 28th in Southold on Long Island. While I may be new to Camp Good Grief, I know that many of you are longtime supporters of Camp Good Grief and the East End Hospice. Thanks to your generous contributions and support, we were able to receive 171 children this year. That's a record number of children. Now, while this is certainly amazing news that we were able to receive an all-time high number of kids, what this number really tells us is that we have a growing number of children in need of the nurturing grief counseling and support that Camp Good Grief provides. Just think, we helped 171 little faces, some as young as 4 years old, who lost a parent, a sibling, or their best friend. For a moment, I'm gonna get the tissue. Imagine being that young child. How do you cope with feelings of loss, anger, confusion, and how do you even grasp the concept or permanence of death? For a child whose entire life's experience is defined by their connection to just a handful of people, imagine, if you will, of losing just one of those people in that little lifeline. It's devastating, it's life-altering. My involvement in Camp Good Grief came not initially by choice. I didn't know of the camp, never needed to know about the camp. But rather it came in the form of a horrible telephone call in the dark hours on the morning of New Year's Eve 2 years ago. My sister Leslie will tell about that story in a little while. It's her story to tell, although we all lived it. Suffice it to say, my little nephew Henry, who was 4 years old at the time, he went to bed the night before a gregarious, happy, outgoing 4-year-old boy, and he woke up and came downstairs to a room full of strangers, relatives, tears, and confusion. The only thing that was certain was that his young life had changed, and not for the better. However, with great luck, Henry happened to find, through the luck of Leslie, Camp Good Grief, and attended it that year. And at camp, he met other children who were going through similar yet unthinkable things. For a week, those kids came together for traditional camp activities, such as crafts and sports and songs, all the while being coached and encouraged by professional child psychologists and grief counselors. Henry's progress was extraordinary. He learned how to physically express his feelings by clenching his fists and being able to express anger and sickness, which is how children manifest grief in many ways. He was able to put words to his feelings, and he started to laugh again for the first time in 6-7 months. Henry continues to have play dates with the kids that he met during camp, and he hopes to come this year, and I'm going to be a camp counselor this year and go through the training and actually hope to have a group of kids with me. My sister Leslie and I, we took Henry to camp every day during that week. I personally witnessed not only his wonderful transformation, but the transformation of so many children at camp. I was so moved by the work, the kindness, and the power of Camp Good Grief that I felt compelled to volunteer. I am bound and determined to get the word out about camp, make this camp available to more children, and expand programming to year-long activities and events. With that goal in mind, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Priscilla Ruffin. Priscilla is the founding president and CEO of East End Hospice, a freestanding community based on interdisciplinary programs for end-of-life care, and it's located in West Hampton Beach. She holds a master's degree in nursing and is licensed as a nurse practitioner in psychiatry, specializing in emotional trauma, grief, and bereavement. She has established innovative programs for the treatment of grief in children and adults, and is the co-founder of Camp Good Grief. Priscilla is also the co-author of Jeremy Goes to Camp Good Grief, which I've seen on a couple of tables, so make sure you pick it up. It's a great book. It's a book for grieving children, and she's written and lectured extensively on the topics of grief, bereavement, and end-of-life care. She's an amazing woman. With further ado, please welcome Priscilla.